Those advancements in photography then freed artists to go in a different direction. They didn't have to try to compete with or do what photography did. One of the prime examples of this is Claude Monet, a Frenchman. Here is Claude Monet's Sunrise, 1872. It's Impressionism. It's his impression, his perception of the moment. If you look in the middle, you see boats, but they don't look like boats, right? It's just as if you were glancing by, as if your eye passed by and you knew it was there, but you didn't focus on it completely. The landscape blends away in the background. And what really becomes important is the interaction between the sunlight and then the environment, the water, the fog. Everything creates an impression of the moment. There's no hero here. It's a contemporary event. It's not a past event. And there's nothing really religious about it. And he's not trying to say everybody who stands at this spot is going to see what I see. This is what I am seeing right now at this moment. This is how I would like to represent this. Notice the colors are not necessarily, quote, normal colors, right? That blue-green tint is not your normal blue water, and the sky is not your normal blue sky. He is using the different colors to create a mood in a scene, but he's not bound by objective reality because he is moving into his relative observation at the time. If this scene were to play out over another 2 hours, the scene's going to change, right? The place of the sun is going to move. Where the sun is in the sky, when the sun moves in the sky, it's going to change the light. When it changes the light, the perception is going to be different. Our perceptions change over time. It's relative. It's not static. It's not objective. Here is another Monet, Poppy Fields, 1873. This time it's a woman and her child walking in the poppy fields. Tall grasses, red flowers. But if you look closely, they're not a still life flower. It's not an objective presentation of flowers. It's as if you were, once again, your eye was moving across and they're sort of off on the periphery and there's not a lot of focus, but you know there's a lot of red over there. The trees are not objective presentation of trees. The house in the background is not an objective presentation of the house, right? He's not trying to get all the details right. He's trying to show what it was like if you were standing at that moment that he was there, what it would be. The clouds have a little bit of a pink hue to them. They're not pure white. Because our view of reality changes with this interaction of our eyeballs with the light around us. And so Impressionism tried to capture that momentary impression. And so even if two people were standing there at the same time, they would have two different impressions of this moment. So if we focus then on this little girl in the foreground, right? Her features blend away. There's no real attempt at a mechanical or objective representation of this little girl. That doesn't matter anymore. Monet clearly had the skill to do those things, but he chose to put them aside because that wasn't important to him. It was this interaction between the light and the human eye and the presentation of color. You can also see this clearly in Van Gogh's Starry Night. This was a capturing of a scene in southern Provence. You see the village in the back in the background. You see the tall pine tree in the middle. In the sky, the lights in the sky. That's not trying to present stars, but it's this impression you get on a cloudy night of glowing stars up there. The swirling of the wind as they're 90, 100-mile-an-hour wind, and you're standing out there and the wind is blowing against you and you're on the top of a hilltop. It's trying to give you that feeling. Normally, people wouldn't paint with blues in a landscape. But if you ever have the opportunity to go out at night, particularly as the sun is going down and the moon is coming up, you'll see there are all different types of colors that the eye can find. One of the most amazing times for me was out west watching the Rocky Mountains and the sun setting over the Rocky Mountains. Those Rocky Mountains turned purple, right? Purple mountain majesty. But if we asked a group of little kids to paint mountains, and one of the little kids painted mountains with purple, you would go, that's kind of weird. That's not what it objectively looks like. But at that particular moment, it could look different than at any other moment. Or Van Gogh's wheat field with crows. The wind blowing the wheat. The birds flying in the air. But unlike those birds in the still life, those birds are not, there's no attempt, there's no drive to accurately represent them to the human eye as if you could see every detail. It is a few strokes showing birds flying a distance, because if you're in a field and you see those birds, that's how they appear in that moment. It's fleeting. It's not permanent. Our experiences are fleeting. They're not permanent. There's nothing heroic here. There's no great religious message. This is a message about how people experience life. Impressionism, or in this case, maybe a little bit of post-impressionism,